I make one of these videos every single year. The seasons come and go, but one thing remains constant. There will always be bad teams, and there will always be superstars stuck on those bad teams. It's sad to see players as talented as these guys waste away their prime. Just imagine if they were drafted or traded into a different situation. They've got all the talent to succeed, all the skills necessary to flourish, and yet they don't have much to show for it in terms of team success. On their respective teams, they haven't found the success they strive for, definitely not what their talent commands. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today, in this video, let's talk about 7 NBA players who are stuck in hopeless situations. What does the future look like for these players and the teams they're on? Is there any way they can change in the foreseeable future? But before we start, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsor, Fubo TV. If you're one of 80 million Americans who are fed up with paying high prices for cable TV, this is an alternative for half the price. Fubo TV includes over 100 of your favorite channels, including complete coverage of all your favorite sports with all local broadcasters: ESPN, ABC, CBS, NFL Red Zone, and more. And of course, I got you covered for NBA games too. You can also stream some NBA games in 4K once the season begins. Not only that, but you can record your favorite games and shows on Fubo TV's cloud DVR service and watch it anywhere from any device, just in case you missed a good game and plan on watching it later. It's very easy to try, just sign up and start streaming, nothing else is required. You can try it for free and cancel it at any time. Sign up for a risk-free trial of Fubo TV and get 15% off your first month by going to FuboTV.com/AndyHoops. That's FuboTV.com/AndyHoops to start your free trial. Number 7. Zach LaVine. The Chicago Bulls, the team that won fewer than 30 games in 3 consecutive seasons. They're in a weird spot in the sense that not only are their young players very questionable, but their management, their front office, especially during the Jim Boylen years, there seems to be no connection between the coach and players. While LaVine has been absolutely tearing it up and became the designated franchise player, it was mostly out of necessity. Lauri Markkanen struggled in his 3rd season. Wendell Carter Jr. did not make the jump he was expected to. Otto Porter Jr. was a great acquisition from the Wizards, but he's been injured and underachieving. Then there's Kobe White, a complete wildcard. Nobody knows if this young core of players can actually develop and lead the Bulls somewhere, at least a fringe playoff team if that's even possible. All of this losing has gotten to LaVine. After just winning 22 games, he stated, "I've been in the NBA 6 years now, and it just gets frustrating. I want to be in the playoffs. I haven't played in a playoff game and it wears on you. That's what you work so hard for and continue to play for." LaVine has literally never been on a winning team for his entire career thus far. It might be the same story here. I don't see much of a future for the Bulls, unfortunately, but hey, at least he got paid. Number 6. Blake Griffin. It almost seems like Griffin is destined to stay on this list forever. Ever since going to Detroit, his career has basically fallen into the void. No longer is he the same recognizable face we've known for so long in LA. No longer is he the hyper-athletic dunk contest champion that made him famous in the first place. In the 2018-19 season, despite being, in my opinion, the most complete version of himself we've ever seen, the Pistons have been in no man's land for many years. Unfortunately, the 2020 campaign was rough for him, as Griffin underwent season-ending knee surgery, and we're not sure how he'll be when he returns. Either way, it feels like he wasted the last few years in his prime in a hopeless situation, and it's possible his most recent injury is so severe he won't recover. Even if he does, this is a lost cause, especially since he's now on the wrong side of 30. The best I can see the Pistons doing is being a low playoff seed, but even so, is that really worth it? To see the latter part of Griffin's career end up like this, it's pretty damn rough. Number 5. DeMar DeRozan. Seems like DeRozan fell off the face of the earth after getting traded to San Antonio. In Toronto, remember how much everyone talked about him? A lot of positive comments, a lot of negative ones for his putrid playoff performances. Regardless, everyone paid attention to him and the Raptors. But now, in San Antonio, it's almost like he vanished. The Spurs haven't done very well since the Kawhi trade. They just missed the playoffs for the first time since 1997. The funny thing is, DeRozan is playing better than ever. The one thing everyone always knocked him for was his efficiency and his bad habits of chucking shots. But now, in San Antonio, he's been picking and choosing his spots much better and his efficiency skyrocketed. Yet, despite him playing better than ever, it's gone completely unnoticed. Part of it is because he's playing for a small market team, part of it is because he's now on a mediocre team with no chance of contending anytime soon. Like really, who else do they have? An aging LaMarcus Aldridge and Rudy Gay? A stagnant DeJounte Murray? A couple of other young role players who probably won't develop into stars? Lonnie Walker seems to have lost all his power after getting a haircut. For the first time in a long time, the Spurs are in trouble. Number 4, Bradley Beal, and number 3, well, it was John Wall, but I guess now it's Russell Westbrook. Maybe it's too early to make this judgment. Despite acquiring Westbrook, it's still up in the air whether or not this Wizards team can make an actual playoff push. But from my point of view, I don't think so. It's gonna be similar to before with Wall, but at least Westbrook can stay healthy. I put them on the list more so because of their recent years in the near past. Anyway, let's rewind a bit. Remember a time when the Wizards looked like the new up-and-coming team of the East? When a young John Wall and Bradley Beal were crushing expectations, exceeding what everyone believed the Wizards were capable of. In the 2014 playoffs, they stunned the Bulls in a dominant 5-game series. In 2015, they swept the favored Toronto Raptors. In 2017, they were 1 game away from the Eastern Conference Finals. It was the best season they've had since the 1970s. We expected them to build from it, to progress even further and perhaps even challenge LeBron's Cavaliers. But things quickly change. A combination of injuries, poor management, and even overconfidence has shattered the young upstart team. As for Beal, he's been carrying the load during Wall's absence. In the time when Wall was struggling with injuries, Beal rose into stardom, making 2 All-Star teams and became the man on the team, averaging over 30 points a game with a head full of steam. Unfortunately, their situation now is very awkward. They got a bunch of young guys with upside, but now with the arrival of Westbrook, will his usage rate also come with him? I fear this will lead to a situation where you have another 2-man show, this time with Westbrook and Beal. It'll be interesting to see what the Wizards do, but as of now, with both Beal and Westbrook's massive contracts with a questionable supporting cast, there's a very limited ceiling to this team. Number 2, KarlAnthony Towns. For a short time there, it looked like the Wolves were getting somewhere. Back in 2018, with the arrival of Jimmy Buckets, the young squad finally had the leadership and veteran presence to push them over the top. Or at least that was supposed to happen. What really happened was that Butler was too alpha for Cat and Wiggins, who were more laid back and more go-with-the-flow type of guys. Reportedly, Butler had numerous interactions with them in practice, calling them soft, saying they don't work as hard as he does, and he realized that he didn't want to be a part of this team. The Butler experiment in Minnesota ended very quickly, and now the Wolves are back in purgatory. The 2020 season was atrocious, as they only managed 19 wins. Cat continued his individual excellence, but without a proper supporting cast and a brand new inexperienced coach. The future is dim. A mid-season trade saw Wiggins get swapped for D'Angelo Russell. A great move actually, a change of scenery for both of them was very much needed. Malik Beasley from Denver was an absolute steal, a pleasant surprise who played so well in a short time. This new trio of Cat, Russell, and Beasley certainly has more potential than all those years with Cat plus Wiggins. But is it enough? In a hyper-competitive Western Conference, they'll need a lot more than just that. The entire roster needs a lot of work, and it kinda seems like they just started rebuilding again. And number 1, Damian Lillard. You might say, oh, why Lillard? The Blazers have been making the playoffs frequently, and they even reached the Western Conference Finals in 2019. How is this a hopeless situation? Well, from my point of view, the Blazers looked like they already reached their peak. They've spent so many years struggling to make a deep run with a roster that doesn't change much from year to year. 2019 was the exception, not the norm. The norm for the Blazers is to finish around a mid to low playoff seed and then get bounced in the first or second round. Even with Lillard's best season of his entire career, they still managed a losing record. Over the years, we've seen the franchise attempt to build around Lillard and CJ McCollum. They needed defense, so they got Trevor Ariza. They needed better big men, so they got Nurkic and Hassan Whiteside. They needed a third and fourth option who can create their own shot, so they got Rodney Hood and KarlAnthony, I guess? But even with all of these changes in recent years, desperately trying to fill the gaps, they haven't gotten any better. On paper, the Blazers should be much better than how they actually play. To be stuck in the same spot for so long, with Lillard's prime years withering away, at least he loves playing in Portland and made it known he wants to play his entire career there. For Blazers fans, that's something to look forward to. Anyway, that's all folks. Those were 7 NBA stars who are stuck in hopeless situations. Most of them have been stuck there for years, and it's unlikely any of them will break through. Personally, I think the Blazers have the highest potential to do so, but for the rest, I'm not sure. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about which players and which teams do you think will make the jump, and which ones will be stuck in the same spot in the foreseeable future. Thank you all so much for watching, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.